Um, well, let's start by, let's get your name and the name of your book on tape.
Jim Smith, Grinning Gargoyle Spills the Beans and Other Yarns of Baja, California.
And how about a description of your book?
The description of the book, series of vignettes of yarns of Baja, California. Some first person, some second person, some history, some observations on the culture, some gags. Pretty light book, not to be taken seriously.
Okay. What inspired you to write this book?
Shilling drinks in hotel bar rooms. People would say, when are you going to write a book? I had to do it in self-defense.
Okay. And Jimmy, what's your history with Baja? How far back do you go?
I first came down here on a motorcycle in 1953, and it's April, I just completed 50 years, in April 1953. And I found a girl in San Ignacio I liked very much, and I was determined to marry this girl. And she was determined that I wouldn't. So it took me 16 years to get to marry her. And by that time, I had the sand in my shoes, you know.
Did you start living down here full time?
No, I would leave in the summer. I'm a pilot. And to keep bread on the table, I would go up and fly crop dusters in the summertime, and I'd make enough money to hang out in the winter down here, see.
So you spent like 9 months a year down in San Ignacio?
Oh, yeah, it varied. You know, there were worms to scratch and eggs to lay. You had to save the world for democracy and deflower a few maidens. And so I was, in that interim, I spent time in Central America, in Belize. I spent time in Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Vietnam, all the garden spots. Saudi Arabia, well, Saudi was after we were married, so. Where else?
All as a professional pilot? Going all these places?
Well, that depends on whether you're an inspector or not. Some people say that I was a terrible pilot, and some people say I was a good pilot, so, you know, I'm alive. I'm alive.
It's the best testament, I think, of your flying.
I think so, yeah. I'm alive.
You must have, in all those years, had a few close calls flying.
Well, I broke a few airplanes. I mean, if you're going to fly dusters, you're going to break an airplane about once every 3 years, you know. And you're flying Baja California, and you're working off of beaches and roads and whatever you've got. Some of these ranch trips weren't that great. And you're going to break a bird once in a while. I mean, that's part of it, you know.
Were they ever your own planes?
Yeah, some of them. Yeah. Yeah, I broke a couple of my own and other people's airplanes, you know. And it would be, it wasn't a formal thing that people would come along and say, if I needed money, can you fly me in here? And if I needed money, yeah, I can take you in there, you know. And then I would figure out whether I could or not, see.
So it sounds like being a pilot has really helped you get to know the peninsula. I mean, you can move around.
You know, I spent half of my GI Bill learning to fly and the other half at the university. And I think that the best investment was learning to fly. Yeah. Yeah, at least I got my money back out of learning to fly, you know.
It must have been before the paved road. You must have been an elite group that could actually move around the peninsula.
Well, no. You see, we have a situation here that most American pilots are in love with their airplane. And to me, an airplane, since, you know, use them for dusting, it's a different philosophy. In other words, an airplane was more expensive. They get up and they kiss their airplane. They come to Baja California because they got a place to fly their airplane. Well, I had an airplane here because it was a good way to move around Baja California. And depend on the mission. I mean, I could use a Toyota as well as I could use an airplane. I would use the Toyota. But working for the hotels down south of La Paz, I worked for several of the hotels down south of La Paz before the road, and it wasn't a hard choice to make. 5 hours in a car or 25 minutes in an airplane. You didn't think about it very much. And you see, an airplane was an essential piece of equipment for every hotel down there. Had their own airplane, their own pilot. And I flew for a number of hotels while I was here. So some of it their equipment, some of it mine, you know.
Let me throw some names out at you and just give me a reaction or an anecdote. Ray Cannon.
Ray Cannon, I knew him well. He was there at Rancho Buena Vista. And I helped Gene Cura. My memory's been refreshed because I helped Gene Cura with his book that he just did, The Unforgettability of Cortez. Huh? So, yeah, I knew Ray Cannon, yeah. I didn't hold him in very high regard, but not like Gene does.
Did you fly him around? Did you fly him to the hotels?
I probably did. I don't recall it. I stayed away from him as much as I could.
What about, in that same vein, Earl Stanley Gardner?
I don't think we ought to get into that. Yeah, I knew Earl Gardner. I treated him pretty rough in my book. But he treated me pretty rough too, so. I admired his pilot very much. See, he had Francisco Munoz. And Pancho Munoz, there ain't better than, there is probably the rustiest pelican on this peninsula. Nobody can fly an airplane like Pancho Munoz. Maybe Bob Hoover, you know. I mean, that guy he's a great pilot. He's the best. He and Castañeda were the two greats.
I understand he's still alive and he lives near...
He lives over at the Bay of Los Angeles a good part of the time, yeah. And he has a home in El Cajon. I haven't seen Pancho in several years, but I hear from him all the time, you know. Oh, yeah.
Any of the other old-timers that...
Of the pilot gang?
Yeah, that you keep in touch with, or...
Well, yeah, Arnie Centerfit, he's still around. And Art Willis, he just left here. Art is, he's one of the greats. Skeets Hagerton is running around here somewhere right now. Skeets is one of the greats. And Mike Goring's a good pilot. Mike Goring's an outstanding pilot. He's here somewhere. And but of course, there's a new crop. These guys are, you know, they're Johnny come lately. Probably the two rustiest pelicans around here right now are Art Willis and I. They're here today, you know. But, I mean, there's Pancho Morales down in Guerrero Negro. You know, that guy lived in an airplane. I've seen him fly 11 hours in one day. He was great.
What one flight in particular stands out, you know, as the most challenging or dangerous or whatever?
No problem. I remember that one well. Of course, everyone has that flight he remembers. Guadalupe and I were flying Dave Deal's 170 down. I don't remember, probably going to Bahia Tortugas. That's where people were living at the time, and we would fly in and out, visit them. And I was getting a little short of gas and was going to land at the Bay of Los Angeles on the old strip there that ran in front of Casa Diaz. And we came around the hill there, and I guess I got into a rotor. I'm on my approach, probably maybe 600 feet off the deck, okay? And we got into a rotor there, and all of a sudden we're inverted. That's one that will stick in your memory, baby.
Oh, how did you get out of it?